Joanna, can you? Welcome, Joanna. How are you doing?
Very well.
I'm going to try to kiss you
Congratulations.
the microphones. It's going to be tough. Please, yes, of course.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's you can see you have a few people here to discuss with you. Please.
I have a little known trick. I don't wear my contact lenses when I'm on stage. That way I can't see anything.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, thank you for coming first.
Pleasure.
Because you're pretty busy. Facebook Europe is doing amazing.
Very well. Thanks.
And I saw you just you just released news today, right?
Oh, we have some news for you, I promised. A couple of things. Well, first of all, congratulations on the web.
Oh, thank you.
The energy here, I think, is extraordinary. We had a developer's garage leading up to this yesterday, and we had about 350 people.
Wow.
And we've been on a tour recently since the FA conference, where I think we've done about 20 events, and each one we have a couple of hundred developers. And I think in this time of economic challenge, entrepreneurship is alive and well, and I'm really excited about the Facebook platform and how we're accelerating development of brand new businesses. So thank you for bringing us all together.
No, I'm happy it works for you, and I think it's not the only one. You have Facebook workshops here.
We have workshops here. I think we're all the way through till the end of the event. We'll be turning the lights off.
I have to say, last year Facebook had a workshop here, and when I went, I was walking, and you had a huge line of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So this year we gave you a bigger room.
Thank you for that.
And you know what? I think next year you should have this room to do one here. And you're doing those Facebook garages all around the world. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is this?
Well, the news we have now. You're a prominent figure in this industry, and a well-known blogger and opinion maker, leader, I should say. So we've recently launched the subscribe functionality on Facebook. So the ability for people to subscribe to a particular person and follow their public updates. We've recently, today we're announcing a plugin that allows you to do that on your own site. So whatever news site you're visiting, a celebrity site, or whatever site you go to will have a plugin that is an extension of the subscribe button that enables you to connect immediately to Loic and then receive all of your updates in the newsfeed. So it's really exciting.
Updates from
subscribing to you on any site where you happen to be writing or communicating.
Oh, that's great.
Very good. Yeah.
That's great.
That's for you today.
Oh, thank you so much.
He asked me what I could launch today. We also...
so that's a feature you've just launched. Very cool.
I'll
try tonight.
And it's coming out, it's imminent. It's not yet ready, but it's coming. We also today released this Memology site that talks about the hottest topics on Facebook around the world. Very interesting because, of course, with 800 million people, 500 million coming back every day, there's so much interesting
You said 800 million.
Yes, 800 million.
No, just,
Yeah, that's the latest figure.
It's a nice portion of a planet, right?
It's a nice portion, yeah. And 500 million come back every day. And for those of you who've been in the industry know how incredible that is. And since FA, with all of the technology that the partners that we've launched with, the social news apps and the social music apps like Spotify and Deezer and other companies that we're working with, Facebook's becoming really interesting. It's about recommendations, social recommendations from your friends, everything from news to entertainment to music. So it's becoming even more interesting. So we hope the 500 million will increase.
Yeah, well, when do you think you'll pass 1 billion?
Oh, I have no idea. I actually try not to look at the figures, so I'm not even tempted to share them.
That's a pretty serious number.
It is a serious number.
Tell me how we have a room packed here with entrepreneurs and developers, and we can see they don't fit in any room we give you to integrate with Facebook. Is there anything? So what's the latest here? Can you summarize how not only developers but also brands and media can get the best of Facebook integration?
Well, I think Facebook is a brand new medium for many things, for marketing communication, first and foremost. Brands are finding, social recommendation to be an incredibly powerful tool for communicating with their audiences around the world, consumers. The idea that you can connect to a global audience Facebook brings that to the world for the first time. The idea that you can link with people, you can run a campaign and connect with people all around the world. You can leverage the power of social recommendation on a regular basis just by better communications with your audience or your consumers. Because the ad campaign is the beginning, and then you acquire what we call fans, the people who make the connection with that brand and say that they're interested in having that brand market to them. But after that, it's about giving them value. So the campaign ends, and it's about continuing to deliver value to the market, to the consumers, and encouraging them for what you give them in their updates and things, that they're interesting enough for them to share. So that's really important from a brand perspective.
If I have a brand, I have a brand, it's called The Web.
It's called The Week. And The Web.
So I get those, let's say I'm Coca-Cola, that's easier.
Okay.
Your brand. We have a social enterprise track actually on Friday where they will talk about this. I think Ferrero has 8 million fans, right?
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
What do they do with those brands, with those fans? And how? Because my feeling is last year, it was all about for brands. It was all about how many ads can I buy to get more, which is good for you, I guess.
Yeah.
You like that?
Of course.
To get more fans. But what do I do with that?
Well, I think it's important to make that connection initially with people that love your brand. But then it's about delivering value to them or something of interest to them that is going to encourage them to amplify your message, to share your message with their friends. So the average person on Facebook has 130 friends. So if each person then amplifies a message and shares that in the newsfeed with their friends, something of value to them, then you're more likely to connect with people, additional people. So we have this concept called sponsored stories, which enables... Sponsored stories, because the essence of Facebook is storytelling. It's you and I sharing our lives, and with the timeline now, it's all the way back to our beginnings, which is really exciting. But it's that idea of encouraging people to share and amplifying a message on your behalf. So it's much more of a...
So let's take this example. Let's say I'm Nespresso.
Nespresso.
Because we have a huge, who had the Nespresso coffee today?
Where did you bring George Clooney here today?
I'd love to. Can you help me?
No, I'm sorry.
We could.
Yeah.
Carl came this morning.
Oh, right.
So Nespresso, for example, since they are here, I'm thinking about that. So let's say they have 1 million fans. What should they do best to do on their Facebook page or their Facebook?
Well, I think Nespresso have a very strong community around the Nespresso Club.
Yes.
So there's a lot of activity around, encouraging people to go in and sample a new flavor. Sampling is a very well-known technique on Facebook that works really well for brands. In fact, recently, Burberry launched a fragrance, and they use Facebook as the way to reach out to their loyal fans. I think they're almost up to 10 million fans, Burberry. To reach out to their loyal friends and people who love their brand, and they offered a sample of this new fragrance, and they had, over 300,000 people request a sample, and 80% of those people said to Burberry, "We'd love to share our email address. We want more great things from Burberry." Burberry's been very innovative. They broadcast all of their fashion shows live, so the people that love that brand get a lot of value from the communications that happen in between the marketing campaigns.
How about media? There has been some chatter around the fact that media now is so well integrated. Let's take The Guardian.
Okay.
So well integrated into Facebook. That's one of the examples, I think, which has the best integration in Europe.
Yeah.
That the audience doesn't go to The Guardian anymore. It stays on Facebook, which is again very good for you. But don't you think that those media are kind of threatened as well? That they're not the end destination anymore.
Well, I think the news business has been obviously a challenged business for the better part of the decade. News partners of ours, like The Guardian, they developed a social app really going deep with Facebook in terms of our open graph. And that application's been downloaded by 4 million people. So now there's 4 million people who may have never read The Guardian, who are now reading The Guardian. And what's magical about it is that each time I read a story from The Guardian, it gets posted in my newsfeed. So all of my friends are now discovering articles from The Guardian, and they might be anywhere in the world. They may have never read The Guardian before, so they're being sent back to the Guardian. They're downloading the app and becoming part of the Guardian network. So that's a really fantastic example of us driving distribution to news outlets.
So you've done for games,
yes,
which is
exactly.
a huge, of course, success
Yeah.
in Facebook.
It's an economy, I would say,
Yes.
in and of itself.
Yeah, what's the revenue around that?
Well, I should probably have that figure, but there's so many exciting companies in the gaming area that have built in Berlin. They're speaking here,
yes.
yeah. And of course Zynga, which I guess their IPO is imminent.
Yeah, it's right now, right?
So we'll soon know what their value is. But
and
previously,
Facebook owns a chunk of Zynga? No.
No, I think someone else does. He might have been here before me.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
I heard about that too.
I heard about
Oh,
that.
by the way, when is your IPO?
Oh, Blue Week. I knew you'd ask me, but of course I can't respond. Good for you for
You
asking.
can't, but you should give us an indication maybe.
Oh no, I can't. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I don't want any trouble, Joanna. But it's going to be 100 billion, right?
I was just about to have a drink of water. Give me 2 seconds.
You should have some water. I heard it was 100 billion, which I thought was pretty impressive. What would you think?
Look, I've been in technology since I went to Silicon Valley in 1987. So I've been involved in a couple of very successful companies, and what I've learned over time is you don't think about valuations. You just execute and do the best you can and build a business brick by brick, and I think it's the best approach.
But it's 100 billion.
Yeah.
No, okay. Well,
I have no idea.
I had to try. I'm pretty excited. I'm not a shareholder, although I'd love to be one. But any Facebook shareholder in the room?
Maybe.
No, maybe a few employees. I hope. Okay, I stopped, Joanna.
That's all right. Well, you know what I think is really interesting is back to this business acceleration. Being here at the web and seeing so many startups that are actually taking advantage of the open graph and Facebook login and building social applications and entire businesses built on Facebook, like by putting friends and people's connections at the center of what they're doing. And I think that's really encouraging. I've never seen that kind of business acceleration before. You know, the idea that you can reach a global market, that you can find distribution. You know, if you built a product even 5 years ago and tried to distribute it, you know, around the world, imagine, you know, trying to find somebody to represent you in a country, you know, going through all the process of, you know, building a business externally, growing internationally. I mean, we've leveled the playing field, and the barriers to entry are just falling, you know, by the wayside, which is really exciting.
Barrier of entry for developers and entrepreneurs, but also barrier of entries for people in the street in some countries, you know, and so we've talked with Eric obviously about, you know, Egypt and Libya and other countries, and it's always Facebook. You have those images. I wish I could show one now if I should have done that. But like, you see those revolutionaries basically with thank you Facebook, right?
Yeah.
What's your eye on this? You're basically becoming the best tool to create a revolution, aren't you?
Well, you know, it's been a remarkable year in that respect, and it's awesome and humbling and, you know, daunting at the same time. I think, first of all, we always say that, you know, it's the brave people in those countries that, you know, stood up to their governments and used these new social, you know, platforms to enable organizing, and they had the will to do that, so it's really their revolution. I think Clay Shirky said it best. He said that, you know, society doesn't change based on technology, or revolutions don't happen based on technology. A revolution happens when society changes its behavior. And I think what we're seeing now is, you know, Facebook in particular, but a lot of the social networks are really changing how we live our lives and interact with each other. And, you know, that change is profound. And, you know, we're just now starting to discover it as, you know, societies. And I guess social anthropologists will write about this time, and they'll look back and say that that's when, you know, the world became more open and connected, which is really what Facebook is all about.
I have exactly the same feeling that people write about this as a huge...
They're going to write about it. We're sitting here at this moment in time.
Yeah. How about competition?
Yeah?
So I asked Eric just moments ago, and that was an interesting answer, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting. He was talking about competition for Silicon Valley, which I thought was really interesting, and I would agree with Eric. The city clusters are really where the innovation is starting to happen, and I think Europe, certainly Paris, Berlin, London are going to give Silicon Valley a run for its money in the future. I think that's really exciting.
But do you think this is like as Eric said? You think it's good to have that competition, or because if you look at the U.S., everybody is 20 miles away between San Francisco and Palo Alto, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually a pretty strong thing because I can actually, if I want to do a partnership with Facebook, I drive there, and in 20 minutes I'm there. If I'm here, I have to fly. Well, actually, you have a team in France, and a good one.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? It's spread around Europe, so we have to fly, and this is why also people, find it useful to be here because they're all in one room. But shouldn't we have a Silicon Valley of Europe somewhere, like it was tried, I think, in Sophia Antipolis, in the south?
Yeah, I remember.
You remember that?
I'm old enough to remember.
I don't know that.
That's how INSEAD was born and all that, right? I mean,
right.
It was really interesting. Look, I think now, Facebook's a great example of a company that uses its own technology. Everything that we do is into Facebook groups. We're all, a product's being launched and there's a group about it. We're working with a particular partner, whether it's a developer or a brand, and we form groups around that, and that's how we work. So we work as virtual teams around the world, and I think it's becoming easier with these social tools to stay connected and to, the physical location is less important in terms of, traveling from one place to the other because you can connect so easily now. And I think the clusters of talent, at a time when the economy is really difficult, young people prefer cities, as Eric said, and they're going to cluster there, and they're more likely to take risks because, they're not lured into the safe jobs that many of us were lured into when we finished university. And, they're tech savvy, they understand our world, and they may have, developed an application already for Android or iOS or something, and they're ready to build a business based on, the open graph.
You have the same, do you feel the same as I do? That recently, I think, Europe is back very strong. We see Badu, you have Fuga just after us, Deezer. Those are amazing successes.
Well, we live in a bit of a bubble right now because there's so much development and interesting companies, and our team have been traveling around the world since F8, and I think, like I said, there have been about 20 developer events, and the ideas are mind-boggling. We've been everywhere. We've been in Turkey a couple of times.
Istanbul,
Italy, Spain. We've been all over, and the talent is everywhere, and it's innovative. And I think from difficult economic times, you have these renaissance periods where great things can happen, and I think we just might be in one of those times.
What do you tell the governments about that?
Well, we work a lot with governments, across Europe, and our philosophy is that we will host as many sort of developers and we'll help accelerate as many businesses as we possibly can. And at this stage of our development, that's our contribution to governments and to the economy. The other thing that is really important is how Facebook helps small businesses.
Yep.
If you're a small business, you can actually launch a product globally for the first time. You can reach people in countries you can never reach before, and you don't have any of the restrictions. Again, like I said, the barriers to entry are fading. And even small businesses, the theme of the conference is, social, local, and mobile. Small businesses in neighborhoods are seeing traffic ignite through connecting with people in the neighborhood on networks like Facebook. So I think it's a really exciting time.
How about Google Plus?
How about Google Plus?
Without any transition, what do you think about Google Plus and Twitter? What do you think about your competition? Not even European competition.
I think competition, as Eric said, is really a good thing. I really believe in that. I think it's, Facebook, our sort of atomic unit is social and people. And so we approach our products always thinking about what, the people who use it need. And other companies approach it through different ways, and I think
but
at some point.
Are they not just building a competitor of Facebook.
Well, I think they are, and
that's
I think that's okay. I think people will. You have to have the best product, and you have to continue to make it interesting. I think F8's gone a long way toward making Facebook much more relevant and interesting to us as individuals. You know, the timeline that we've announced is
when do we get that?
A powerful tool. Soon. Yes, it's very soon. I was hoping this week, but I didn't have any luck. I'm sorry.
I can't wait to play with it. My son plays with it already. My son switched his account into a developer account just to get the timeline.
We had over 1 million people become developers to get the timeline.
Well, great, you did 1 million.
We did. But it's good because it's a beta test for us, an extended beta, so we had a lot of feedback from a lot of talented people. But I think, back to your question, Facebook is becoming more interesting. I'm discovering music from my friends.
I love that.
I love it.
The teaser and the Spotify integrations, incredible. That changed my perception.
It changed everything.
Because I go and now I can listen to your music.
I have fun there, yeah.
No, but for me, it's like I have zero knowledge.
Yeah, me too. Maybe it's a generational thing, but I have all these incredible young people in the office, and I'm humming tunes I've never heard of. But I'm discovering music through, this new generation, and who are so active on these networks on Spotify and Deezer. So I think Facebook's becoming more and more interesting, and as like Netflix and some of the other applications start to launch, I'm discovering news from my friends. I read as much news as I can, but I get so much news now on Facebook, I don't really have time to go to other sites. So, I'm connecting more and more with news sites I trust, and I'm not able to make it to those sites now. So they need to be social, and they need to develop apps like the Washington Post and the Independent and the Guardian.
I would also spend, of course, the afternoon with you discussing about this. But tell me, how is it to work with Zuk and Cheryl?
Facebook, like I said, is really a unique company. We use our own technology, so it's very open and transparent.
Plus, we have Facebook groups to discuss.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The other thing that
How about mail? You don't have mail at Facebook? You just
use mail, but it's people mainly update each other based on groups, which is interesting. And it's so efficient. It's one place, like, you create these weekly reports, we create them in a group now, so everyone knows what's going on, and, it's fantastic. But back to your... Cheryl and Mark, they're very open, transparent people, and they involve people in the process. Like every week, in Silicon Valley, there's a tradition where you have a Q&A or a Friday lunch or something of that nature. Ours is an open mic. We can ask Mark anything we want. It's quite late in the day for us. It's like midnight for me, but you can still participate live every week in a conference with Mark. You can submit your questions, and so it's a very unique environment. I'm really privileged to be part of it.
And they are very privileged to have such a leader as you, especially being a woman, which is more rare, and there's nothing, it's just, congratulating you on that, because just looking at the room, sorry guys, but there are not enough Joannas in the room, and we have quite a bit, of course. I hope that is going to grow more.
Yeah, I think it will with this new economy that's emerging. I think, the opportunities are there. I hope myself that it will change. Yeah, it is. And, I'm always the optimist, the eternal optimist.
And you've been an entrepreneur, you've sold your company, you've done Facebook. So what's next for you, Joanna?
I'm here. I shouldn't say this, but I want to stay here as long as they'll have me. I'm just having the time of my life.
Yeah, that must be quite a ride. I think you made a very good choice here.
It's a very good choice.
This is very impressive, Joanna. So you'll be around during the conference? People can talk to you? And we have Facebook workshops, I think every day.
Thank you for including us on such a level and giving us the opportunity.
No, that's the opposite. We're so glad that Facebook is so present here. Thank you so much, Joanna.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Great.